Hey ladies, people would rather swallow a jean jacket before they apologize to you. They would rather sweep the beach before they apologize to you. Okay? People would rather DIE than admit that they were wrong about you. I have a story time. A few years back, I was basically pushed out of a job due to a boss that was very envious of me, very conniving, very malicious, very passive aggressive and covert with their narcissism. And because I had gone to HR about her, she decided to retaliate against me. And I ended up having to make a decision if I was going to wait there and get fired or leave on my own with my dignity and my head held high. So, of course, it got down to the wire and things got really ugly and I was forced to leave. But I do remember that before I left, the manager who I had while I was working there became my skip level manager. So someone else was hired in place of her and she was given a promotion, of course. All the evil people get promotions in corporate America, if you guys haven't noticed this by now. So my evil manager became a skip level above me, and then I had a new team lead. We're gonna call her Ariel. Do you know that Ariel was also a Black woman? So you would think like there's solidarity within corporate America and women of color. Wrong. This woman, upon meeting me, had already made up her mind about me. She had already sort of fell for the lies and fell for the okie doke that my evil manager had started spewing. So she fell for the narrative about me that my evil manager was painting. And what ended up happening was when I first had my meeting with Ariel, I explained to her my side of the situation because she was coming in at a pivotal time where I was up for performance review and my evil manager tried to pin this one thing against me as to why I wasn't doing well. Whole time, she was trying to find something wrong to retaliate against me for going to HR about her previously. I had great feedback from my peers. I was doing what I needed to do, but my evil manager, who happened to be a white woman, was using little things against me to try to create a case against me. Do you all know that when I had my conversation with Ariel about, my experience so far, what I've been battling with, and then what I've been going through when it comes to my performance review and why I'm objecting what's on my performance review, do you know the first thing that came out of her mouth was, I'm hearing a lot about her, but can you take accountability for anything? And at the moment, I definitely understood what she was saying, and I took accountability for the parts that I could take accountability in. But if someone has it out for you, someone has it out for you. There's nothing you can do about that. And I didn't pick up on the shade in that moment. And it wasn't until later on, I started to scratch my head and think, why would the first thing that comes out of her mouth upon meeting me and upon our first meeting be for me to take accountability for something that I'm telling her I'm experiencing from another individual? The only reason she would do that is if she fell for the lies and fell for the narratives that were being spewed towards her. And ladies, I'm not new to this. I've experienced this in all areas of my life where people have already made up their mind about me based off of lies, based off of perception, based off of insecurity, being threatened, whatever it may be. Fast forward, I leave. Do you all know that 4 Black people within my department who were hired after me, because I was the first woman of color to be hired into that team and into that company, left after I left, including Ariel? So what ended up happening was when I left, my evil manager had no choice but to shift her attention and her vitriol and her nastiness toward other people. So she went and looked for her next victim, naturally, as narcissists do. They fixate on you, and then when they get done with you, they move on to their next victim. And everyone thinks they're so above getting treated the way you get treated, especially if you are a beautiful woman in a corporate space. People have little to zero sympathy or empathy for you when you're going through something. Because naturally they're looking at your external and they think, oh, that's what you get. That's good for you. You know what I'm saying? It is a way for them to feel better about themselves, to know that you're going through it because you're gorgeous and you shouldn't be. But the fact that you are going through something right now within the corporate space and you're being tarnished and you're being mistreated, it is satisfying for these people. It's satisfying for them. But little do they know that's not how God works. you can think that you're going to take digs at people when they're at their lowest point or when they're being mistreated and think you're above it, but it's going to come right back around to you. So do you know that this woman, I found out later from the first girl that had left after me, she let me know that Ariel ended up leaving, quitting without saying a word, without saying goodbye. She just stopped showing up to work one day and then spoke to HR about returning her equipment. Do you know how bad it must have got for Miss Ariel, who thought I should have been taking accountability when I was being harassed and when I was almost wrongfully terminated? Do you know how insane that is for the same person who thought they were going to take a dig at you when you were going through something that was really hard, really traumatic, really difficult, to then go through the same exact thing because they fell to the same fate that you did? This is why people need to watch what they do and say, because you can never say never. It can be you. It can be you. And when you rejoice in other people's pain, when you rejoice or try to humble somebody or take digs at people because you're threatened by them or insecure or you want to take them down a notch, you have to be careful about what's coming around the corner for you, because little did she know the fate that I fell into was the same exact fate she had to fall into. For you to leave without saying goodbye, for you to leave a corporate space without putting in a resignation letter, without having an exit interview, without saying something to somebody, just not showing up anymore, that means shit got bad. That means something really bad was happening. And you got an inkling that they were about to give you the boot. Or the harassment was just out of control and you couldn't take it anymore. But whatever it was bad for you to have to leave without saying anything. And you know what's so funny? The reason why I'm speaking about this in this story time is because even after all that happened, do you know that Ariel has my number because she was my team lead? She had all of our numbers. Do you know that I found out Ariel reached out to every other person on my team who left after me except me? Why do you think, ladies? Let's all critically think and take a second to think. Why do you think Ariel would reach out to everyone else who left after I left, but not the person who she shamed? It's because she feels shamed. She feels ashamed for how she tried to shame me and how everything that I told her I was dealing with and going through was actually facts. There was truth to it. I wasn't blowing smoke. I wasn't trying to save my ass and my reputation. I was being honest and I was looking for a helping hand. And instead of you help me, you decided to listen to the narcissist. In fact, you didn't even just listen. You decided to take on the fight of the narcissist, like the true flying monkey that you are, Ariel, to make yourself feel better, to feel like you're better than me. I don't know what you thought you were doing or what you thought that was going to do for you and for your career or for what you thought was going to be your career at that company. But you were sadly mistaken, because when you go up against me, you go up against my God, you go up against angels working for me on my behalf, and I don't have to lift a finger. Energetically, you will be dealt with. And the justice is swift. And that goes for every person in my life who has crossed me. The justice is swift. The Bible literally says, touch not my anointed, and people's lives end up going to shit, messing with me. So instead of you to help me, you fell for the lies of the narcissist and ended up losing your job too. You either had to leave because they were about to kick you out, or the pressure got so crazy that you had no choice but to go. Either way, I know that shit got sticky for you. I know it did. Ariel, I know it did. And so I say this to say, ladies, she did not even reach out to me, the person who was, nailed to a cross. So not only was I losing my job, but I was also going through a humiliation ritual. I was also dealing with, people's eyes being on me. I was being stalked on LinkedIn. Like, ladies, when I tell you I've gone through spiritual warfare, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I did nothing to this woman for her to try to ruin my life the way she did. So the fact that I was the initial individual who was nailed to a cross and left, the fact that she didn't even reach out to me but reached out to the other girls who left after me is very telling. She cannot apologize to me because, for one, it would mean that she would have to acknowledge that she was envious of me and felt like I didn't deserve to be there. I didn't deserve to be treated well, which is why she was okay with accepting a narrative about me. She would have to admit all of that. She would have to admit that she was wrong, that she's sorry. Like, she's not going to do that. She's ashamed. And as she should. But this just to show you, ladies, that People are very, very wrong about you. They've perceived you in a negative light. They've listened to other people about you. They've fallen for the lies and the narrative and all the games. But the second that you are vindicated, the second that they realize that what you have been saying this whole time is true, they would never admit that, especially if you're gorgeous, ladies. And this is just another thing you're going to have to chalk up to your pretty privilege and you being a gorgeous girl. People do not want to give you validation. They don't want to validate what you already knew or what you were already trying to tell them or what you were already warning them about. They're not going to validate you. So just understand that, ladies, that this is a part of being gorgeous. This is a part of having your privilege. People are not going to apologize to you even though you deserve an apology. People are not going to give you that validation that you deserve even though you deserve it. And it's rightfully yours. So ladies, drop down in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box. You can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.